What about Charlie and Martin Sheen's ties to the Jesuits? Did you mention how they got the name from a Catholic bishop called Fulton Sheen? The same Martin Sheen, by the way, who's taken the Ignatius Loyola spiritual exercises. How about Martin's ties to a Jesuit soldier named Bill O'Donnell? We've got a picture of him next to Bill O'Donnell, and they're doing some weird ritual or whatever it is in front of like baby coffins, children, babies' coffins, and what looks like blood on it. I don't know whether that's some doctoring and messing or damage to the photograph, or whether it is blood. I don't know. Probably wouldn't surprise me if it is blood. We also heard Martin Sheen narrate the Titanic documentary of National Geographic called The Secrets of the Titanic. Why is it, Alex, that you have never delved into the Jesuit connection with the sinking of the Titanic? I mean, that's linked to the coming of the bloody Federal Reserve you don't like and you go on about, and the death of the likes of John Jacob Astor. What was John Jacob Astor? He was a Jew who didn't want the Federal Reserve. Why do you ignore as well Jesuit Francis Brown's role in making sure all enemies were on board the doomed vessel? Funny, right, how we have this Sheen doing the voiceover, isn't it? And then we see Charlie Sheen, his son, doing the narrating of Loose Change, based on the 9/11 event created and executed by the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. God's sake, let's see how Mel Gibson and Martin Sheen are two of the most powerful Roman Catholics in the whole of Hollywood, along with Denzel Washington, Patrick Heaton, Tyler Perry, Ralph Winter, Angela Bassett, Martha Williamson, Christian Sienoweth, Philip Anschutz, and then you've got Howard Kazanjian and Scott Derrickson. I mean, we see this Denzel Washington an awful lot, not just because he's an African American instead of a black American, promote Africanism to the white Protestant nation, because he's a Roman Catholic. What about your friend and guest Alex Jones, known as Pat Buchanan? What another crook that is. I mean, he's a Knight of Malta working for Cardinal Egan. Why don't you mention this to your paying viewers, Alex Jones, who pay you their good hard-earned money? Why do you associate with Knights of Malta, phony patriots? Why do you? Who was Buchanan linked with? Another Knight of Malta, Ronald Reagan, the same crook who had a concordat with the Vatican in 1984, after some 119 years. Oh, that's funny, isn't it? 119, let's reverse it, let's do an ISIS reflection on it, and we get 911. What a shock. And it all adds up to the chaotic 11. So it was 119 years back in 1865 that ties was dropped with the Vatican. Why were them ties dropped, Alex Jones? Because of the Society of Jesus and the Vatican's assassination of US President Abraham Lincoln at the hands of Jesuit-trained Sulpician Fathers member Surratt, S-U-R-R-A-T-T. Why don't you talk about that, Alex Jones? So don't go around, Alex Jones, talking about freedoms and anti-NWO this, when your own buddies are tied to the bleeding Pope, who wishes the destruction of our Protestant freedoms, our Reformation freedoms, which you don't harp on about anything to do with Reformation. We also see Pat a lot on the bloody Fox News network. Again, Roman Catholic Murdoch's network. Who's he normally there with? Why, it's Roman Catholic Sean Hannity. What about Pat being a Confederate? What a shock. Reminds you of those Roosevelts and Charles Bonaparte, all Maltese knights as well. The Confederate Jesuit controlled, and their power base is down in New Orleans, where they have the Mardi Gras, all that porn. They go on about Jews with porn, making porn. Who's got the biggest porn collection in the world? The Vatican. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. And the Vatican with their Mardi Gras, which is a celebration of one of their crimes on humanity. And it's the same Confederates who totally ripped America apart in 1901. Well, it weren't America anymore as such, but what I'm saying is they ripped some of the last pieces of anything to do with old America away in 1901 when they assassinated William McKinley. Who was behind that? Teddy Roosevelt, who then became the president and then bought Charles Bonaparte, that other Confederate linked with Napoleon Bonaparte, another Society Jesus stooge, into the system, and then he created the FBI. Why don't you tell the paying people, Alex? Why don't you tell them that? Why don't you tell them how Pat Buchanan is trained by Jesuits at Gonzaga College High School and once again at the ultra-powerful military fortress of Georgetown University? What about Pat's ties to Jesuit John McLennan of the McLennan Group? Why does Pat hide what Pope Pius XII did with the Nazis? Why is that concordature all forgotten, Alex? Why do you just forget it? Of course it is when the Catholics are ruling the United States, utilising ex-Nazis. That's the reality, and that's why Alex Jones don't go there, because they're paying him. The same Nazis removed out with Operation Paperclip, utilising the Bosnian, Croatian, Roman Catholic priest Kruzislav Draganovic. D-R-A-G-O-N, Dragon, what a shock, V-I-C. And his first name is K-R-U-S-O-S-L-A-V. And the rat lines were actually named after him, Draganovic rat lines. Alex Jones don't go into that. He mentions Operation Paperclip and a basic, might mention a vague Catholic thing on it, but that's it. Who do we have to thank for this? Well, of course it's the Knights of Malta working for the Pope, the likes of the Bloody Grace family. We also see how Pat's father, right, loved Roman Catholic Senator Joseph McCarthy, who was trained at Jesuit Fortress Marquette University in Milwaukee, M-A-R-Q-U-E-T-T-E. McCarthy promoted the false cult war, whilst the KGB and the CIA actually worked together as usual covertly to keep the fear, and the agenda behind the cult war and the nukes, to get the nuke program going. I mean, please explain to your paying listeners how Pat Buchanan has worked with and is a friend of Thomas Wardle Braddon. Who is Braddon, folks? Who is he? Well, he's an ex-OSS, Officer of Strategic Services, CIA, coming from British Army. I mean, how fitting is that when the CIA was created by Sir William Stevenson of British Intelligence, and it's controlled by British Intelligence? But what's more interesting is how Braddon played a big part in Operation Mockingbird. Mockingbird. What a shock. Exactly what Alex Jones is doing. We should note that Pat Buchanan was replaced by Roman Catholic convert and sex ring Robert Novak. N-O-V-A-K. Once again, a Catholic. God, that stench of Catholics is damaging my nose like cocaine. Ask George N.W. Bush about that. He probably knows what cocaine does to his nostrils. That's if he's aware of what's going on around him. Mind you, he's more aware than the other soon-to-be President John McCain, who has to be shot up most likely with glutathione shots because of his brain gone. And saying that, I did like that new little spoof, I think that's how you pronounce it, or satire and video of McCain, the rap with Palin and the porno queen wife Cindy McCain, and don't forget all her offshore accounts that are being hidden. But that was quite a funny video. But anyway, now you can see through Alex Jones a little bit more clearly, I hope. So, talking of Knights of Malta, what's Alex Jones doing on CNN-controlled TV? Who owns CNN? A Maltese knight by the name of Ted Turner, who's a great wannabe depopulator. Wants to get rid of the populace, there's too many of us. I don't drive great big limousines and Porsches and things like that like Ted Turner does and will. That's polluting the earth, not me. He's the one that's helping keep us stuck on oil when there's free energy out there and other things. So why have I got to go for him? So why again, Alex Jones, do you have a Knight of Malta on your show and as a friend? If you're this great Mr. Protestant from this great Christian background, what a hypocrite and a traitor to your roots and the AV 1611 King James Bible teachings from real scripture, not Babylonian mystery religion. Talking of the mystery religion, what about this Archbishop of the United Catholic Church, Robert Bowman, B-O-W-M-A-N? You like your Catholics, don't you, Alex Jones? Why did you have Jordan Maxwell on a few times? Don't you realise that he's actually getting people to follow the mystery religion from his teachings? And then it's crafty, you see, because then it gets people to attack the Bible, which is exactly what the Jesuit wishes, and to put down the information in the Bible. And Maxwell's been a part of that. he's doing this and he's covering himself by some of his Catholic exposure to help back him up to the profane people who are not in the know what's going on. And I was one of them in the past as well, I admit.